All right, let's dive right into a global showdown that's heating up right now. In one corner, you've got the reigning, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world's money, the US dollar. And in the other corner, you have a group of challengers, the BRICS nations, and they are dead set on changing the rules of the game. But to really get what this is all about, you have to understand one simple truth.
And yeah, that's really it. This quote cuts right to the chase. We are not just talking about spreadsheets and exchange rates here, not by a long shot. This is about power. It's about influence. It's about who gets to call the shots on the world stage.
So, to understand why there's a challenge, first we have to understand the champion. How in the world did the US dollar get this absolute iron grip on the entire global financial system?
Well, this was no accident. The dollar's power is an architecture, a system that was very deliberately built after World War II. Think about it. Most things traded internationally are priced in dollars. The world's central banks, they hold most of their savings in dollars. And the essential plumbing of global finance, systems like SWIFT that move money around, they're all fundamentally tied to the dollar. It creates this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle that just keeps demand for the dollar incredibly high. And this is where it gets real. That economic dominance, it has teeth. It means the United States can use access to that dollar system as a powerful tool, a weapon even, through things like sanctions and freezing assets. Suddenly, money isn't just for buying stuff anymore. It becomes a lever of geopolitical power.
So who's pushing back against all this? Well, enter the BRICS nations. We're talking Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They look at this dollar-centric world and they don't just see a system, they see a massive vulnerability. So what's their plan?
And right here, this is the core of their motivation. Just think about it from their perspective. If some other country effectively has an on-off switch for your entire economy, are you truly independent? Are you really sovereign? That dependency becomes a huge strategic weakness.
So what's the game plan? Well, they aren't trying to create some new BRICS buck to take down the dollar tomorrow. No. The strategy is way more subtle and maybe way smarter. It's called de-dollarization by fragmentation. It's not about a single knockout punch. It's more like a death by 1,000 cuts, chipping away at the dollar's dominance, piece by piece, from all sides.
And here's the playbook. First, they're pushing to trade with each other using their own money. China buys from Brazil using yuan. India buys from Russia using rupees. You just bypass the dollar completely. Second, they're building their own plumbing, their own payment systems, so they don't have to use SWIFT. And third, they're beefing up their own institutions, like the New Development Bank, to be an alternative to the World Bank and the IMF. You see what's happening? They're building a parallel universe for finance.
Now, if there is one single battleground where this entire conflict will be won or lost, it's energy. For decades, the dollar and the global energy trade have been inseparable. If that link breaks, it's a geopolitical earthquake.
Just look at the two columns here. On the left, that's the world we've lived in for half a century, the petrodollar system. Oil gets priced in dollars, so everybody needs dollars to buy it. Simple. That creates a constant, massive demand for US currency. But now look at the right. What happens if the big energy producers start saying, you know what, we'll take your yuan, we'll take your rupees? That whole cycle just cracks. Countries don't need to stockpile nearly as many dollars, and that changes, well, pretty much everything.
And that's the bottom line right there. Energy isn't just another product. The scale of the trade is so huge, it acts like a kind of anchor for the whole monetary system. If you move that anchor, the entire financial ship begins to drift. The world's center of financial gravity could literally shift.
But hold on, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Dethroning the dollar is incredibly difficult. It has this formidable defensive wall. I mean, what other currency has the infrastructure to replace it? The US has the deepest, most liquid markets on Earth. There's a rule of law and a level of trust built over decades. You can convert a dollar into anything, anywhere, anytime. And maybe the most powerful thing of all, everybody uses it, because everybody else uses it. That network effect is a really, really hard thing to break. So you've got this massive push from BRICS, but you've also got the dollar's incredible staying power. So where is this all going? What happens next? Well, let's game out 3 possible futures. First up, we have what you might call the slow burn. This is probably the most likely scenario. The dollar stays number one, but it's a less dominant number one. Its share of the global pie just slowly, gradually shrinks as countries trade more and more in their own currencies. It's more of an evolution than a dramatic revolution.
Okay, scenario 2 is where things get a lot more dramatic. This is the energy shock scenario. That shift in oil contracts we were talking about, it happens, and it happens big. A few major energy producers make a decisive move away from the dollar, and that acts like a catalyst. It could break the petrodollar system and trigger a much faster, more chaotic scramble for central banks all over the world to diversify their savings.
And then there's the third scenario, the most disruptive of all, the great fragmentation. Here, the global system actually splits in two. You'd have a Western, dollar-based bloc and a separate, BRICS-aligned bloc, and they would interact less and less. This would mean a fundamental rewiring of globalization as we know it, more friction, higher costs, and a lot more tension.
So when you strip away all the financial jargon and the complex scenarios, what is this really all about? It comes down to something much more fundamental than just economics. At its heart, this is a battle over power, over control, and over national sovereignty.
Because when you boil it all down, the questions become very simple and very stark. Who controls the plumbing? Who owns the pipes that let money move around the planet?
Who's in charge when things go wrong? When the system freezes and panic sets in? Who gets to be the lender of last resort that keeps everything from falling apart?
And maybe the most critical question of them all, who has the power to decide whose money is safe and whose money can be seized with the flip of a switch? Because in the 21st century, currency isn't just money. It is leverage. It is national security. And as we said right at the start, it is geopolitics. This standoff over the dollar isn't just about the future of finance. It's about the future of global power itself.